I'm able to hear you.
Very good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another session where we discussed amongst the three of us in the process, creating kind of an event where we question each other. And the objective is to try and exhaust all possible interview questions or all possible line of questioning that an interviewer would do to our participants, and so that they are able to benefit from the answers that is provided by the experts here. From the beginning, I have taken the easy role by seniority, and that is because I'm the oldest. Therefore, I will ask the questions, and you will have to answer me. So that is the role I have taken, and I expect feedbacks, especially to me, from participants. Because you would have faced some interviews in the past. So, what is this question? What was a specific question you've asked? So, we definitely look forward to feedbacks. And in our YouTube video itself, you can please send in your feedbacks, and we will try to address them in the subsequent sessions. All right, then. So let's begin. So today's session is, again in the in the CRISP MLQ. Yes, please. Yes, Barney.
Nitin, I would like to check with you. I would take this opportunity and I would like to check with you. The voice clarity. Is my voice clear?
Yes.
And is it clearer than what it was before? Or was it the same? Is it the same?
The voice definitely is quite clear. Are you changing?
Yeah, can you now tell me? Is it?
Yeah, there seems to be a slight echo.
That now is it okay? Just let me know, because I'm trying to speak with mic which is connected to one laptop, and on another laptop I'm trying to hear the audio.
So right now there is a lot of other noise as well in this particular scenario. The previous scenario, the mic was much better. I mean, definitely it was. We could make that subtle difference. Thank you. So yeah, would you like to share what is that special mic? You want to show it on the webcam? Oh, wow. That seems to be a professional mic that you've got there. Okay, great. Now you are on mute. I think you have to turn on this mic. Sorry, friends. We are using a live audience.
This is Audio Technica. And this is something which people use for singing purpose. And in movie, when you record the background music, etc., people actually use this. So I'm just testing out whether the quality of this is good or bad.
Thankfully, we don't have to test it with
that
singing.
That is what I'm trying to do.
Barney, thankfully, we don't have to test it with you singing. Voice was enough. Please don't sing. All right, friends.
No, I thought this session was all about singing. Starting with Sharath and then you and then me.
So, friends, humor also is important. While on the subject, while not being on the subject, I like to add one more thing. One of the HR recruiters who has told me, first 2-3 minutes when you have a face-to-face or even a webcam-enabled interview, the first 2-3 minutes decides how easy or how difficult the questions are going to be. And that 2-3 minutes is basically reading the person. Biggest smile that you can give. Hello, sir. How are you? I'm Nitin Mishra. I hope I'm not late. Yeah, all well. Before the interview starts, take the lead role. Do a little bit of chit chat, and that HR professional who has done hundreds of college campus interviews, etc., in a span of 25 years, that person said, in the first 2-3 minutes we decide how the interview is going to be. This fellow is really is somebody that I want to really take, or I'll have to go through the process of the minimum 15 minutes and politely tell him, I'm sorry, you are not worth it. So humor, your bright spirit, your emotion, your charge, how charged you are, All these things play an important role. So I think in having that humor initially was also a learning part for all our people here. Yes.
So since you have brought this point up, Nitin, I also want to tell to our participants or whoever are the audience who are listening to this video that we have come up with AI tutor which will capture your behavioral patterns, and we are trying to correlate it with the interviews that you might attend. Are you maintaining a smile on your face while you are interacting, or do you have that serious look on your face? Obviously, anyone who is planning to hire you would like to have a person who is easygoing rather than a guy who is always serious looking, etc. Right? So these kind of features also will be captured by our AI tutor. Not just that, your voice modulation. My name is Bharani Kumar. I have done my master's from IIT and I have done my master's from ISB. If I speak in that way, you would certainly not like it. Yeah. My name is Bharani and I hold a master's degree from IIT and ISB. So you need to bring in that energy, friends, when you introduce yourself. Without energy, your introduction would be meaningless. You need to blow life into your speech. So our AI tutor would also capture your speech. It will look at your voice modulation. And is it really attentive? I mean, is it attractive enough to catch the attention of the audience? This is exactly what our tool is going to do. So have an eye on that. We will be launching it in December. Yep, over to you, Nathan.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you. And I think sometimes it is also important to discuss a little bit of the paraphernalia rather than just the subject matter, but I think it's enough. So let's dive in. So yesterday we discussed about the ensemble techniques. We discussed only the ensemble techniques. That's it. We did not go deeper into that. What is what, various types of ensemble, different approaches, etc. What we'll be probably doing is going deeper into the hyperparameters that are, excuse me, the hyperparameters that come into play in the ensemble techniques. We have seen a brief or a few hyperparameters when we were discussing about the tree-based models. All right, so that is going to be a topic. And we also did not discuss much about some of the boosting techniques. So we'll be discussing a little bit on that. So that's primarily the agenda for the next 20-21 minutes. First question, Barney, hyperparameters. I say that an ensemble technique is nothing without a hyperparameter. It's the hyperparameter that is actually supporting the ensemble techniques, the various hyperparameters. Can you argue on that? Yeah. So what I mentioned was, sorry about, I think you are having something. So my question was, or my statement rather is not a question. My statement is, any ensemble method is useless or doesn't really have anything for itself. It is the hyperparameters that actually carry the entire weight of the ensemble techniques. So how would you take a stand for or against, and maybe want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I'm juggling between two laptops to ensure that I mute you on another laptop. Probably that's the only way to mute you. And I'm using mic on another laptop, so sorry for that. Anyways, even if you abuse me, I'll not be able to hear that, Nitin, now. So here, the statement that you have made is probably, I would not agree with it, or I would partially agree and partially disagree, because the underlying nature of the algorithm and the entire math which goes behind the scenes in order to learn the patterns between your output variable and input variables is extremely critical. And hyperparameters are just levers which you can actually change to see whether your model is going to be a right fit or not. from that standpoint, we use hyperparameters. And I also want to bring this, so that's the answer, that hyperparameters are a supplement to your overall algorithm. Your overall algorithm, the math behind the scenes, is used to learn the patterns. I also want to bring another question here. And I want probably an answer from Nitin and Sharath. Okay, so yesterday, or day before yesterday, I posted, or a few days back, okay, I posted on LinkedIn. And that post contained details such as, if I have huge data, the more the data, better would be the training. The more patterns your model can actually learn. Given that you have done your EDA, and given that if you have zero variance, low variance, you remove duplicate rows are removed, duplicate columns are removed, all that said and done. If you have huge amount of data, that is what neural networks also says, right? The more the data, more patterns your model can learn. And it becomes more robust because it's getting exposed to more examples. I'm not talking about duplicates. So given this context, do you think that's a right statement? Or do you think that's a wrong statement?
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. Sorry, Sharath, you said something?
I said you go ahead, please.
I believe it is correct. It is a correct statement. All right. I'm not able to put my finger onto the explanation part of it at this point of time. With reference to why so, I kind of know it is correct, but maybe you could elaborate on that. Why?
Okay, let me try and answer that question from my side. More the data, definitely more opportunities to capture the pattern. But again, it depends on how homogeneous the large data that we have. If we have completely heterogeneous data that we have, even if it is large, the system probably may not be able to capture the patterns effectively. And this is where we try to get in the unsupervised learning techniques to create that homogeneity. But whenever we try to improve the performance of the model, one of the approach that we generally take is try and have more samples, that is more data points, which probably allow us to try and capture that pattern if there is any. So from that perspective, the statement is partially correct. But again, it's completely depends on the kind of patterns that the raw data is actually capturing.
Yeah. Counterpoint to that, isn't it also true that when we don't have homogeneity in the data, the first suggestion is get more data? So doesn't it logically follow that if I'm having more data, the problem of lack of homogeneity is getting solved?
But how much data would you actually ask for? There's no limit for that.
So I'm looking at it in the perspective of not just getting a huge amount of data, but having a lot of data and keep adding it to my training. So when I keep adding more and more data, I have a finite amount. Let us say I have X. I make that data X number of records in my training data. I make it 1.5x, 2x, 2.5x, 3x, 3.5x. When I keep increasing the data, the primary problem of the lack of homogeneity would eventually get addressed. I'm looking at it in that perspective. Probably what Sharath is talking of, you have thrusted upon me a finite amount of data. Why? This is your data. Now, if it doesn't have, it inherently has, a homogeneity problem, and there is no other data available to address it. I agree with you. Probably then we go to the, unsupervised techniques and various sampling techniques, etc. Barney, I would leave it to you to, sum it up, please.
So, given all these conditions are satisfied, I believe that more the data, more patterns your model can learn. Why is it that Google is more powerful? Why is it that Facebook, LinkedIn, Uber, DoorDash, and these kind of companies, why do you think they are more powerful? Because they have access to data. The more the data, more the patterns. And when you build a model on that, it would be powerful, is my take. But then one gentleman was saying that he countered this on LinkedIn, saying that if you are going to train your model on more data, then your model will be biased. Biased? Underfitting? I could not quite take that. Now, I would request you all to throw some light on that. What do you mean by model will become biased if you train it on more data?
Your take, Sharath? How can a model be biased if it is trained on more data?
Yeah, no, I'm completely clueless. What I have learned from my experience is that you have more data, then generally tends to overfit. General practice. Again, homogeneity and all those concepts come into the picture, but I have seen that models generally get overfit, not underfit.
Okay, so let me try and explain why the person who said that, when you have more data tends to, underfit. More data implies more complexity or more, inherent patterns that exist in the data. And that inherent patterns or more complexity because of it exists. There is a limitation to your model. Now, if I were to, do a simple regression, if my entire screen is filled up with dots, we may be led to believe that there is absolutely no correlation between the input and output. If you look at a simple linear regression example, so many data points have simply filled up my screen. That is a problem. Now, within that, if I force my regression to build a model, it is going to come up with some kind of a line through it, which may not be able to cover all the data points. All right. So when you have an excessive, so it is like a point of inflection. So when you keep increasing the amount of data that is available for training, the model quality improves to the point that it actually overfits. You still keep increasing. The model can only learn so much, beyond which it is going to start losing. It's going to start giving it up. And therefore, it is going to move towards the underfit. That is the logical explanation, I feel. Barney, your closure on that?
Yeah, makes sense. So my reply for that person was that you have your share of experiences, I have my share of experiences. And at the end of the day, your experience or my experience doesn't matter. We need to, contribute to the wider community of data science was my answer. But yep, the more the data, better it is my take, because overfitting or underfitting completely depends on how much amount of data you have in your training and how much amount of data you have in your validation or test, right? Because only after you train would you test on the test data. So if you have more data, how does it matter? You're learning more patterns. At the end of the day, you're testing it. And when you test it, if it's working well, why not? And there is nothing called a midpoint. If you ask me, it's personally my take that you need to have only so much of data. Beyond that, it doesn't work well. Less than that, it doesn't work well. We don't have a system. And when you look at neural networks, for example, and it has been proven time and again that as and how the amount of data increases, the accuracy of the model would increase, right? So you need to have right set of data in training, right set of data in validation. And then even if you have huge data, it actually ends up working, right? That's my take. And that is not exactly, but I told you have your experiences, Nitin, Sharath has his experiences, and I have my experiences based on the projects that we have dealt with. And our experiences would probably talk about something which will not be in line with the theory, but that's absolutely fine. At the end of the day, we just need to keep contributing to the wider community. Yeah, over to you.
Okay, I'd like to just continue because it's kind of, when we get into these kind of interesting discussions, we really get excited. And like Barney rightly pointed out, the more experience you have, the more discussion you are able to have on these lines. Otherwise, most of the times people who take bookish projects have less knowledge about it. So the rationale or the backing for my logic where that point comes to a point of inflection where it reaches overfit and then turns to underfit is from the knowledge of the t distribution, which is for samples. Now the t distribution t values also, when you keep increasing the sample size, there is a very marginal increase in the t value. And t distribution and sampling itself says ideal or thumb rule is 30. Just because it is 30, if I put 300,000 instead of probably 30, is it going to make it that much more better? No. From 30, when ideal sample size of 30, I'm giving you 300,000 sample size, the increment or the improvement may be, there might be an improvement, there may not be an improvement. If there is an improvement, you cannot expect it by so many times. It will be a very marginal improvement. Now, the enormous amount of data that exists because you have increased the sample size in the perspective, the training size, etc., is eventually going to stay somewhere not contributing to the model. And that anything that is not being used for modeling is a simple scenario of underfit. So that is where the argument I had come from. But yeah, kind of makes sense. Ultimately, it is not that I'm right and Bernie is wrong and etc. This particular rationale, see, it is all about when you get the result, how you explain it. I'm surprised to say that I gave 300,000 records and still it is underfit. Why? Probably then Nitin Mishra's explanation is working. I kept increasing the number of data points and it kept increasing the quality. It reached a point of overfit, but it only went more and more overfit, 99, 99.9, 99.99. And the test or the validation accuracy was marginally coming down. Then Sharat's explanation is perfectly all right. That explainability is working all right. So I guess sum and substance is experiences of different people collaborate together. And who benefits? The general public, the masses, the corporates, the companies benefit because we come up with such beautiful models. So we fighting amongst each other is very important.
Yeah, so that we benefit.
All right. So I think we've kind of entirely digressed from the topic at hand. And that's also a very good thing. It does happen sometimes. But I think we've got about 5-6 minutes left. So we'll continue on this itself while we are discussing. So Barney, I want your knowledge because you've done a lot of courses and me and myself and Sharat are, at much later in our age, we decided to move into data science. You've kind of trained to be a data science much earlier. So I want you to generally tell, many people say, no, I'm poor at statistics, and statistics is the mother or the foundation on which the entire data science, AI, everything rests. So do you find that you have an edge in understanding things because you have trained in statistics, and people who have learned data science as a course are missing out on that? Please be very critical. Let us not try to, yeah, sure.
Not really, Nitin, because there are two schools of thought or two bodies, basically. One section of people want to do research and come up with new set of algorithms. They want to improve the existing algorithms. They go on to do their PhD, postdoctorate, and publish new papers, and then come up with new algorithms. In the entire world of data science community, probably 1% of them would fall into that section. Remaining people want to go join different companies and solve business problems. And for the larger community, probably 99% of them, I would say you please don't get bogged down onto too much of math or too much of stats. Not needed, because your goal is to solve a business problem. With the emergence of auto ML, I would say please focus from business aspects on how to solve a business problem. And then you'd be able to solve the business problem, job done. No customer would ask you on, hey, tell me which algorithm did you use and how does it actually work? Write down the math behind the scenes. No customer would ask you that. Customer would just be interested in whether their business problem, his or her business problem is solved or not. And So you have to decide on where you want to be. If you want to get into industries, solve customer complex business problems using artificial intelligence, etc., then you need not get into the depth and you need not get into the nerves of each and every algorithm. Having said that, if your goal is to do research and come up with new algorithms and publish new algorithms, then yes, certainly you need to do that. You need to have thorough in-depth knowledge about statistics. And yep, do I have an edge? I certainly don't have an edge over PhD scholars who have done statistics in PhD and came up with new algorithm. Do I have an edge over the other professionals who are doing projects and solving business problems? Yes, I feel, given my experience, I have an edge.
All right. So I think we'll, for discussion's sake, I think we'll abandon today's topic completely. We just have about 3 minutes left. So I like to add some more, paraphernalia or the other aspects of interview doing today. If you notice right now, while I'm looking at you, it may appear that I'm looking straight into your eye because I'm looking straight into my camera. Oftentimes, because I don't really need to look at Barney and Sharath, I know how they look, so I'm kind of ignoring them and looking into the camera. And anybody who's watching this video will see that my eye is directly at them. It is quite distracting when you are doing a video interview and you have somebody's image. Let us say that person's feed is coming down below, so you're looking at him and speaking. Now, if you notice now, I'm looking away. I'm looking actually at Barney. So the suggestion people have given, I've seen videos, etc., is to put a small sticker, look here or something like that, which is a small thing or a small bright star or something that looks into the the points near the camera. And every now and then when you get distracted, you come back to that. That is one aspect. The other aspect is having a little bit of a distance. Now, if you're sitting a little far away, right? So your vision, the peripheral vision you are looking at, so even if you're looking a little down, your eyeball appearance is not so bad. So if you sit a little far, if you have a camera that is removable, can be put a little far away, it gives a better view. Even if you're looking away into the screen, it doesn't appear that you are looking away from the interviewer. Subtle things, marginal things, but then all these go into a different way of telling that how much you are prepared and how much efforts you have taken. One more most important thing, be at the link 3 to 5 minutes before. Right? Be at the link 3 to 5 minutes before. Don't try to join on the time if you are attending an interview. The interviewer may be late, shouldn't be late, ideally, if they are serious about the job. All right. It sometimes happens that the interviewer wants to check the settings and things like that. And when they log in and you're sitting there, this is what happened. I thought the interview doesn't start till another 5 minutes. And you can always say, no, sir, I joined before because I didn't want to have any trouble. I just wanted to test it myself. I'm just waiting for you. The interviewer is going to be extremely apologetic and extremely impressed that you have spent 3-4 minutes waiting in the dark, waiting outside the room for him to, let you in. And it is going to be a sail through that. So these are some of the, some of the tips, like I thought maybe we can add up to that. And today's session was definitely different than the core technical session that we were discussing. So we expect a lot of feedbacks to come in. And if there is a different trajectory that you people want us to do, have these kind of impromptu discussions about a particular topic and have kind of an argument, a pseudo argument kind of a thing, please do let us know. If you have, please don't do all these things. You people talk enough amongst yourselves. Stick to the question and answers, fine. Let us know on either of the cases, but please do comment. All right, or there's only a way that we will be able to, do about that. So that's my take today. And on that note, we'll call it a day today. Thank you so much for joining, and hope the audience continues and spread the word. Bye.